Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a Star Wars discussion video. As all of you know, I am a huge advocate for bringing back the Old Republic era. Throughout little bits of entertainment, whether it's a show or a movie, we've seen small strokes of the Old Republic make a return. In today's video, I'd like to focus on all of those references and the potential of a full-on return for what I feel is the best era in Star Wars. I'd like to start off back with Rogue One at the end, where a Hammerhead Corvette is used to destroy the shield gate over Scarif. For those who don't recognize the Hammerhead Corvette, this was a popular ship used back in the Old Republic era. We actually see it instantly in the beginning of the first Knights of the Old Republic when you are on the Endar Spire. And you're going to see little bits of information like this build up throughout the video where, yes, this is a very tiny thing, but it's a bunch of tiny pieces once we get to the end of this throughout the Old Republic era that are now back in Star Wars canon. On the game side of things, we have KotOR characters coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is one of the more popular Star Wars games that's come from EA. We have Bastila, Mission, as well as Zalbar. Admittedly, I am not a huge fan of seeing them being shoehorned into a mobile game instead of just bringing back the damn game itself, but still, it shows, once again, life in this series. The largest contributor to bringing Star Wars The Old Republic back into canon, and hopefully life to the video game series itself, is Star Wars Rebels. We can clearly see the creators of this show are big fans of KotOR, because Malachor is a thing in Star Wars Rebels, while there are differences between Malachor 5 in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, where that was a battleground for Darth Revan's army and the Mandalorians, whereas in Star Wars Rebels, it's more of Jedi versus Sith. Also in Rebels, it's referred to as just Malachor, whereas in obviously KotOR 2, it is Malachor 5. So there are these tiny differences there, but there's a lot of overlap. Also, the Malachor in Star Wars Rebels houses what is a holocron key to that part of the story, whereas obviously in the Malachor 5 and KotOR 2, it is completely a host of dark energy. Also in Star Wars Rebels, we see the Selkath. Yet again, another tiny stroke, but another addition from the Star Wars Old Republic era into current canon. The Mandalorian Wars are also acknowledged in Star Wars Rebels. And lastly, in the Black Figure series for Star Wars, we can see Revan has his own figure. So throughout entertainment, between mobile games, a movie, as well as Star Wars Rebels, which is the one throwing out clearly the most similarities. And lastly was a tweet from the Star Wars account saying, we're taking a look back at Knights of the Old Republic, and it goes on to cover why this is such a special Star Wars game. Admittedly, after seeing all this, I got the Old Republic fever, like I always do, and I instantly hopped back on the MMO just because I wanted to try something new in the Old Republic era, because I was just craving it. I know that there is a huge difference between the MMO versus the actual true KotOR games, but I just wanted something. So the question is, with all these tiny bits of the Old Republic returning into the Star Wars canon, will there be a return of the Old Republic in general? Now this may seem a bit obscure, but the reason I think it's possible is because Shenmue 1 and 2 Collection happened, which has to be one of the most obscure HD remakes despite it having a very fervent fan base. It is still the type of game nowadays that you wonder how well it can manage to sell and how popular it truly is. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum, anything with Star Wars slapped on it sells millions. So what is the hesitation to bring back the Old Republic? Is it canon, or is it what I imagine most likely is the case, which is legal issues? We have to think back to how many hands are in the KotOR cookie jar. We have Microsoft, who had an exclusivity deal with KotOR. We have BioWare. We have Obsidian for KotOR 2. Now we have Disney and EA. There's a lot of negotiating that probably has to go on between so many companies to actually make this happen. We have seen many representatives of the games industry go on record saying they would love to see a KotOR remake. They would love to work something out on that, or just a re-release at that, which is something I'd much rather prefer, considering I think remaking the game could lead to changes that hardcore fans such as myself and others do not like. So what's the holdup, I wonder? I am not too sure, but all these references certainly have me giddy, and I just had to make a video about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below, so do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active, I love you all, peace.